Because one, you want to get out ahead of things, illness, sickness, transition. And two, when life hits the fan, you want to be ready, right? Can you say 2020? I've been a spiritual entrepreneur since 2016. And can I tell you, it is so important to have spiritual systems in place. Why? Because one, you want to get out ahead of things, illness, sickness, transition. And two, when life hits the fan, you want to be ready, right? Can you say 2020? Yes. In case you didn't know, I'm Missy Moreno, spiritual entrepreneur, been a practitioner, coach, personal trainer, health and wellness, everything for many, many years. And I've always run my own business in some fashion. Now, I have to tell you, one of the hardest things I went through was a divorce. Yes, it was tough because, well, if you've ever been through it, you know there's a lot of things to think about. You got to think about moving, you got to think about moving on, you got to think about finances and just everything. And it was hard for me because I was looking at my notes here. I was right in the middle of a launch to take a group to Brazil. It was my second one. And I was like, oh my God, the way I had been doing it was like showing up on Facebook every day, posting, doing videos. And I was like, sad right now. I was like, how am I going to do this? And I know for myself, having been, using these spiritual tools consistently since 2012, 2011, that I had a good solid spiritual foundation. And this was like, when was this? 2017. I had a good solid foundation of spiritual systems in place. Read, pray, meditate, all the things. But this took a little extra because I was overwhelmed with these feelings. And then there was triggers in my old neighborhood. When I go teach classes, I'd see couples working out. And I was like, whoa, we got to get it together, Missy. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't fake, right? In anything, I'm so good at being present, right? I practice it. This is what meditation is good for. And this is also how sometimes you can bypass things. You can just be so in joy and so focused and so in the moment that it's good. But then you might take it to the next moment that isn't as good, that needs to be worked on. But if you keep bringing good, 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 you never get the work done. I'm not perfect. I am human and I have done that before. Okay, but still, I knew I didn't want to be fake. I wanted to show up and be present. And so I had to do more inner work. Now, what got me through this was not push, hustle, motivation. It was that my spiritual systems were in place, and that carried me through this crazy time. So, the key shift when it comes to having spiritual systems in place is not to pretend that things are all right. It really just kind of holds the frame for life so you can navigate whatever comes through. It was okay for me to cry. It was okay for me to process, but when it was appropriate, not teaching a fitness class. So people didn't even really know. I didn't tell too many people because I like anything. I want to work on it first. I don't want other people's opinions. You're not a therapist, Auntie Lou, so I'm not going to share this with you, right? So I kept it to myself. I worked on it. Of course, I had practitioners and I had a bunch of support at church. I'm not saying I tried to do it all myself. Um, but with my spiritual practices, I was able to maintain my energy, my strength, and get through life. But like I said, people didn't even know. Unless I told them, people didn't know. And as I've said before, EFT was a powerful tool. It was the main one I picked up again. That's when I really picked it up and made it my main practice. And it helped me heal, forgive, move on, process. Because I'm telling you, and this isn't true for everyone, but I imagine that some people, when they break up, they hold on to that stuff and they turn it inward. And some people, that affects their body, illness, stress, maybe even the body of their affairs or their business, right? Because they let it bring them down. But I brought it up, right? So with the tapping and the prayer and sharing in my spiritual classes, I was able to move that stuff up and out and get rid of it because it was there to heal me. And it did. And I processed and I moved on. But I couldn't have done it without EFT, prayer support, community, meditation, and all the things I had in place already. I could have not gone through that breakup 10 years prior. I would have been a mess, total mess, and wouldn't have known what to do with myself. Yeah, I don't even want to think about it. But I was grateful for the systems I had in place. I want to help you get the systems in place. So, another thing about having these spiritual systems in place is that they create space for me to hear my intuition, to be calm, to be grounded, to be guided on what is mine to do next. It helps me be at cause, not at the mercy of the world around me and circumstances. So, yes, we want to create these systems for safety to hold you in times of hardship and transition, but they still have to be authentic to you. And I say this in business too. You can learn all the techniques, all the hacks, all the ways of being in business, but if it's not aligned to you, it's not gonna flow. So in the next video, we're talking about structure and why it doesn't limit you, how it actually helps you flow and frees you. Catch you in the next one.